There is a question you have repeatedly asked all your Palestinian and pro-Palestinian guests, and you've had a lot of them, to be fair, people have praised you for that. But there's one question you ask almost all of them, to the point where it's become a bit of a joke, a bit of a meme. So let me start by asking you a version of that question. Do you condemn Benjamin Netanyahu's terrorism against the children of Gaza?
Well, I wouldn't categorize it as you do as terrorism.
Well, there it is. First of all, the answer is no, he does not condemn it. Second of all, if this was Piers Morgan, at this point, he'll start interrupting his guests.
I do think that they've committed some acts which I do think are acts of terrorists from that day. It seemed to me Hamas knew exactly what Israel would do, didn't care about its civilians, was hiding amongst them, had a tunnel system and thought, bring it on, let's have this out. So I've always felt that Israel not only had a right to defend itself, but had a moral duty to defend its people.
By killing Palestinians?
Does he believe that Palestinians have the moral duty to defend themselves?
Palestinian kids? You about the conduct.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to have an argument about the goals.
I understand.
I'm saying if you kill, for example, you saw the video, because I know you're on social media as much as I am, a video that Washington Post verified of a little kid, 13 years old, is attacked by a drone, minding his own business. He's not Hamas. There's no Hamas hiding behind him. He's attacked. As he's bleeding out and people come to help him, they attack again. That's a double tap. It's what Al-Qaeda and ISIS do, double tap strike. How is that not an act of terror?
Well, because
2 kids are killed deliberately.
I've seen a lot of videos. Some of them are...
But that one specifically, is that an act of terror in your view?
It is in your eyes.
No, I'm asking your view.
Well, no, I haven't seen the one you're talking about.
That's a clever way to weasel out of that question. Oh, I haven't seen the specific video that you're talking about.
What I would say about it is that I want to see all of these things properly investigated and to establish whether there have been war crimes committed. And if there have been, absolutely hold the people who perpetrated it to account.
So you think Yahya Sinwar is a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
And there was an arrest warrant request for Yahya Sinwar from the International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, British lawyer. He's also put out an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. He's accused Netanyahu, well, he's asked for one, the court is being lobbied not to do it. He's put out an arrest, he's asked for an arrest warrant, and the indictments he's put out include, this is what he's accused Netanyahu of: starvation, murder, willful killing, extermination. How is Netanyahu not a terrorist, Piers?
Well, it may end up being that he is convicted of war crimes that suggest he's a terrorist.
But Sinwar wasn't convicted of.
Well, Sinwar.
I'm just being consistent. The ICC chief prosecutor put out warrant requests for both.
Yeah, but what the difference is that Hamas said, here are the GoPro cameras. We are going to show the world what we're doing here.
So is Israel. I just mentioned a video where a kid is killed on camera. Yeah. In fact, Israeli soldiers have put out TikToks of their war crimes, Piers.
You're not going to get me to say that what Israel's been doing is terrorism, because I believe they are defending
Why
their
not,
people.
though, is what I'm wondering. It seems to be just a stubborn resistance.
Because any country in the world that had October the 7th perpetrated against them would do what Israel has done.
No,
Mehdi Hasan is 100% correct. It's just stubbornness, it's double standards. And by the way, if you haven't seen this interview, this was actually an interview with Piers Morgan, was on Mehdi Hasan's show on Zeteo. And I think it was a very good interview. And Piers Morgan's just straight up shameless. I wanted to show the highlights. I know everyone already hates Piers Morgan. Here's another reason for you to hate him. But Mehdi Hasan, I thought, was fantastic in this interview. That's why I wanted to share it with you all. If you do enjoy it, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's continue.
Yes, they would.
They would have killed kids at this level.
No, if you had literally a country on your border.
Well, it's not a country on your border, it's occupied territory. I think you've conceded yourself in previous
I have actually said to you, I believe it is occupied territory.
Okay, then, so it's not a country on your border.
Let's call it, what do you want to call it?
Occupied territory.
Okay, well, let's call it Gaza.
Okay.
That on one single day, in 13 different entry points, 3,000 people came through and committed as much mayhem and murder as they could possibly commit in a deliberate attempt to destabilize and take down Israel, which is the intention of their original charter. If that happened on any border, shared border in the world, there is no country in the world that would not have responded with military force in the way that Israel has done.
I don't agree with that. But let me say you're right.
Well,
every country would have done that. Doesn't make it not terrorism.
No, I mean, what I would ask is, okay, if that's true, if it's everyone's moral duty that if someone attacks their border, you have to take military action, then what about Palestine and Palestinians throughout the last few decades when Israelis were slowly creating more and more settlements, slowly, shortening their borders and everything? Was it okay for them to attack then? Come on, Piers Morgan, be consistent.
And what you're saying is that any country that then goes after terrorists that perpetrate that kind of attack automatically themselves become terrorists.
No,
I dispute that categorization.
No, I'm saying that's a straw man.
Well, give me an example where they're not terrorists.
I just gave you an example. They could have responded to Hamas without attacking a kid, killing the kid, and when people come to rescue him, attacking them as well. I can be here all day. We don't have the time.
So
I could go through. They didn't need to attack an apartment building.
When American
We're
forces,
not doing whataboutism. We're not doing whataboutism.
when they went after ISIS,
Yeah.
but they killed a lot of innocent
Yes,
children in the process.
I think those were acts of war crimes. I think war crimes are
That's
acts of
terrorism.
terror. Yes.
So if you go after,
I don't think.
So if you go after any terror group in the world,
No, I'm saying if you hold on, Piers. The definition of terrorism, according to every dictionary, is the use of political violence against civilians for political goals. That is what Netanyahu is doing. He said it openly. Israelis have said it on your show. He's killed 33 times as many people as Yahya Sinwar.
Let me be clear.
But Sinwar's a terrorist.
Let
and
me
not
be clear.
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu should absolutely no longer be Prime Minister of Israel.
Should he be at the ICC?
Probably, yeah.
So if the warrant comes down, you support the UK arresting him if he comes to the UK?
I absolutely think that his alleged war crimes, and I use that because they've not been substantiated, his alleged war crimes should absolutely be investigated.
This doesn't make any
But
sense.
you and I aren't going to
I agree.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent, Piers Morgan. And also, this is before the ICC warrant actually did come out for Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm pretty sure Piers Morgan went back on what he's saying here, that if the warrant came out, he would support it. I don't think he supports it.
I agree with you. No. I agree with you that they haven't been substantiated, but I'm being consistent. I'm saying everyone, Hamas, Israel, should be substantiated in investigation. You're saying one side's terrorists based on GoPro, but the other side's not terrorists, even though we've watched them kill thousands of people on camera. Literally, I've seen it. I saw them gun down an old lady holding a white flag with Israel. Have you listened to Israeli soldiers? You should watch our documentary. It's called Israel's Real Extremism. It shows Israeli soldiers talking proudly about what they've done in Gaza. It's not just a T word, Piers, that you've been reluctant to use in relation to Israel, but also the G word. Genocide.
It's not genocide.
Why are you, so let's talk about that. Why are you perfectly happy to call what Russia is doing in Ukraine a genocide, but not what Israel's doing in Gaza when there are fewer civilians, far fewer kids killed in Ukraine than in Gaza, arguably way less genocidal rhetoric from the Russian government than we hear from the Israeli government? Why are you so uncensored on Russia but not on Israel? What are you afraid of?
Okay. Because you've got to be careful about the word genocide. The word genocide is where you deliberately exterminate a group of people based on ethnicity. And the reality about, let's take Gaza first of all. If Israel actually wanted to get rid of everyone in Gaza, they have the military power to do that. They have nuclear weapons. They could just nuke Gaza, as some of them, I suspect, would quite like to do. They've got some massively right-wing headbangers in that government, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich and others, who I suspect wouldn't hesitate to wage a form of genocide. So I accept that completely. But the reality is that there are 2 million people in Gaza, of which, depending which estimate you want to believe, but the official records from the Hamas-run health authority, there are about 45,000 people have died, of which it is estimated that around 15 to 20,000 are Hamas, and the rest are civilians.
That's
well, they're
estimated by Israel, but okay.
Okay, but there are different figures put out. But let's assume it's in that ballpark. Okay.
No.
Well, okay, but it
you can say that.
Here's my point. It's not 2 million people, which Israel
But that's
has.
not the definition of genocide.
Well, isn't it?
No. The Genocide Convention doesn't say you have to kill everyone. By the way, you said this to Bassem Youssef, our good friend, last week on the show. You said, well, I want to read you exactly what you said. Israel hasn't nuked Gaza, quote, they could have done. They haven't done that. If you're really genocidal, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
But Russia has the ability to nuke Ukraine too. Russia has the biggest stockpile
Got him.
of nuclear warheads
come to that.
in the world. So why
I don't-
hasn't Russia? So Russia's not doing a genocide.
No, I don't think they are, and I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in order to defend Israel, you're withdrawing your allegation against Russia.
Yeah, because you made me think about it. I hadn't actually. I didn't remember that I'd used that word in relation to.
But it's not just Russia.
No, because
You said it about many people.
Well, okay. So
You said Bashar al-Assad in 2012, 1 year into the civil war in Syria, when the death toll was much lower than Gaza. You said it was a genocide. You said the Rohingya in Burma.
well, that's interesting.
Hold on. You said Rohingya in
Let me
Burma.
answer.
I'm finished my question, then you answer.
Okay.
You said the Rohingya in 2017, far less death toll in Burma, is a genocide. So I look at Piers Morgan and I say, here's this uncensored person, very bold, outspoken, opinionated man. He says Syria's a genocide. Burma's a genocide. Ukraine's a genocide. Israel? No, it's not a genocide.
Yeah.
And now today, actually, I'm going to withdraw the charge of genocide of Ukraine. That's how much I don't want to accuse Israel of genocide.
No, it's
That's
not.
You know, Mehdi Hasan is so good with breaking down these arguments, and it's so true because no one ever thought that deeply about the word genocide. Everyone just assumed, everyone kind of knew the basic definition. But now you notice that with Israel, no one wants to use a genocide word, and then they're like looking into the technical definitions and all of that. Oh, Israel technically isn't doing this or that, and so it's not technically doing a genocide, which honestly, in my opinion, the word doesn't matter. They're killing a lot of people. How's that?
No, it's not.
It feels like you're afraid.
Russian. So I think to use the word genocide about what Russia is doing there is the wrong term, and I shouldn't have used it.
So
I wasn't
are you
aware I had.
withdrawing it on Syria and Burma as well?
No, because I think they are definitely a genocidal intent. They're genocidal intent. What you want people to believe is that what Israel is doing, without any reference to October the 7th, they want to basically kill
Bashar al-Assad would say exactly what Netanyahu says. He says, I'm fighting terrorists. They're hiding amongst civilians in Homs.
Let me ask you.
Assad uses the same...
Let me throw it back at you.
No. To quote you, this is my show. I've got limited time. I'm asking you questions. Bashar al-Assad would say exactly what Netanyahu says. He says, I'm fighting terror. I don't believe him and you don't believe him. We don't like Bashar al-Assad. We agree on Assad.
Yes.
But he would say exactly what Netanyahu says. I'm fighting terrorists who are hiding amongst civilians in Homs and I'm bombing them. I'm fighting a war of self-defense. You say genocidal. I say, yeah, maybe genocidal. Israel says Amalek. They say total annihilation. They say we're going to destroy Gaza. We're going to level it, etc. You say not genocidal. I don't get it.
I don't think it is genocide, no.
Even though the facts say otherwise. Holocaust historians like Omar Bartov and Amos Goldberg, Ariel Naya, some of the experts on Holocaust say it is a genocide.
Yeah, but a lot of experts say it's not a genocide.
That's not actually some of the leading Holocaust experts are all lining up in one direction.
You've got your experts. I've seen many other experts who say it's not genocide. So you can, look.
I just find it fascinating that you'll call every other conflict which has fewer deaths than Gaza genocide. But for some reason,
you're fewer deaths in Syria.
There were in February 2012. I checked. You said it was a genocide in February 2012. See, I do my homework. I checked. 7,500 people in Syria being killed at that point. You said genocide. 45,000 people in Gaza. You say not genocide. I think they're trying to erase northern Gaza right now.
I think what they're doing.
Are you seeing what's happening in northern Gaza?
Here's what I think they're doing. I think Israel genuinely believe what they're trying to do is eliminate Hamas, who they perceive to be a terrorist
I think you're speaking on behalf of Israelis who aren't saying that. They're making it very clear. It's not just about Hamas. They're seizing territory in Gaza. They're planning to, some of them are planning to resettle in Gaza, and right now, northern Gaza, according to the UN humanitarian chief, everyone is at risk of dying, Piers. Everyone. That's the words of the UN humanitarian chief.
Don't misunderstand me. I think what's happening in Gaza is horrific.
You just won't say genocide?
No. You asked me if it's genocide. I don't think it is. And you asked me if it's terrorism. I don't think it is. Do I think it's got...
Unbelievable. That should be quoted, framed. Piers Morgan, that is something that no one will ever forget. You, sir, are on the wrong side of history.
Unacceptable, the level of civilian death, absolutely.
But you do think Netanyahu probably could end up at the ICC?
Do I think that they have no plan for the end of this? Absolutely. Do I think Netanyahu and the headbangers and his cabinet should go? Absolutely. Do I think Hamas should have any authority going forward? No. So there are lots of ways that we can try and
I know, but ultimately history will judge where you were on this, and they'll say you were right on Iraq and you didn't really come on board on Gaza.
And I don't think they'll find that you were right about calling it terrorism or genocide.
Okay.
We'll see.
I hope you're right. Obviously, I don't want it to be a genocide, but it looks like one, sounds like one, walks like one with you. But just on this topic, October 7th was bad enough. I think we can both agree. The kidnapping and killing of civilians, war crimes, without anyone having to exaggerate how bad it was. And yet, given the way a genocidal Israeli government, in my view, not yours, has used atrocity propaganda to try and justify the mass killing of Palestinians, especially Palestinian children. And that October the 7th, some would argue, even got as a Palestinian-American child killed in Illinois. There's an argument that that guy was infuriated by talk of beheaded babies, etc. Do you regret, Piers, a year later, having used your very big platforms, YouTube, Twitter, to spread that atrocity propaganda, to repeat the Israeli line uncritically, saying, and I quote, 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded?
Right? There was a report that said 40 babies had been beheaded.
Yeah.
People believed it in the moment. It turned out not to be true. I never actually said 40 babies had been beheaded, contrary to the avalanche of...
I hate this word salad he makes up. This is straight up semantics. He said, I never actually said 40 babies have been beheaded. What he actually says is 40 babies have been killed, some have been beheaded. And that's not that much different, Piers. Come on, man. It's really not that much difference. But he tells everyone's like, oh, I never said that. I never said that. You pretty much said 80% of that. And he acts like he didn't say that at all. Like 0%, nothing even close.
People who on a daily...
You passed it off as fact, Piers. Come on.
I didn't. No,
October 10th, talking to Joan Collins. This new revelation of 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded. How can any human being do that to a baby?
Right.
There's nothing in there that expresses any doubt.
Right, I didn't say 40 babies got beheaded.
You said 40 babies killed, some of them being beheaded. That's false.
Right.
None of them were beheaded.
Right, okay.
And you said it as fact.
Okay, but why are you defending Hamas?
That's your response. I'm not defending Hamas. I just started with Hamas did war crimes on October the 7th.
Were any babies
horrific,
killed?
And they should all go to prison.
Were any babies killed?
Yes. Children were killed. Yes.
Right, were any kidnapped?
But I'm wondering why you pushed an Israeli propaganda line.
Were any kidnapped?
Yes.
Okay.
Horrific, and I've condemned it, Piers.
Were any people beheaded?
I've condemned it.
Were any people beheaded?
I believe a Thai worker and maybe a soldier were, according to a video.
Beheaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so babies were killed babies were kidnapped, people were beheaded, right? And your position is you want to sit here and split hairs about
Well,
how
people
many...
died as a result of this, Piers. A kid was killed in Illinois by a guy who believed this stuff.
1,200 people got killed.
But you and I are not responsible for that, right? You and I are not responsible.
And nearly 7,000 got wounded.
You and I are not responsible for that.
You want to sit here and try and defend Hamas.
Where did I defend Hamas?
You are.
When?
You're trying to downplay and diminish what they did.
I literally started by saying, don't we both agree the kidnapping and killing of civilians are war crimes?
Right.
So how do I defend Hamas?
But
That's a lie. You just lied.
Yeah, but are you suggesting that
I'm suggesting that as a journalist, you pushed something that was false. You should have corrected it and apologised.
Right. What did I push that was false?
Let me read a line. The new revelation of 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded.
Right.
40 babies were not killed, no babies were beheaded.
I never said 40 babies were beheaded.
But you said murdered. 40 babies were murdered. They weren't.
Right.
40 babies were not murdered.
It now turns out that not that many babies were murdered. No. Okay. In the fog of war, it turned out that was
And I just asked, my question was, do you regret saying that? That was my question. Instead you said you were defending Hamas. Come on, cliche.
So Hamas didn't kill quite as many babies.
And no, the Israeli government exaggerated what happened to justify their actual beheading of children in Gaza. Do you believe the US and UK media are biased in favour of Israel?
Parts of them, yeah.
Why?
Why do I believe it?
No, why are they biased in favour of Israel?
I don't know. I have to ask them. I'm not.
I mean, you've worked in it for decades.
You've worked everywhere.
Ask them. News of the world. I'm asking you. You are one of the most famous people in the British media.
What do you want me to say?
Why is the British media biased in favour of Israel?
What do you think I am?
I didn't ask that question.
What do you think I am?
I think you are, yes.
Why would I have so many Palestinian guests on?
You tell me.
If I genuinely am biased and don't want to have their say being given.
You have this very black and white view of the world, Piers.
Why would I have you on?
You can be biased towards Israel.
You're one of the most partisan guests I've ever had on my show.
Piers, am I pro-Palestinian? Am I pro-Palestinian?
Of course.
So why do I have you on then? This is a ridiculous argument. Just because you have guests on from the other side.
Did you guys catch that, how quick Mehdi Hasan is? Because having different guests doesn't mean anything. It does not change the fact that you're biased. And Mehdi Hasan straight up just broke up that argument. It's like, okay, do you think I'm biased towards the pro-Palestinian? He said yes. But he has him on his show, so it makes zero sense. You can be biased towards Israel and have pro-Palestinian people on the show. Piers Morgan, man, he really tries to tell himself and act like he's not biased at all, and he's somewhere in the middle, when in reality, this guy's totally biased. But I will say I respect the fact that he gets pro-Palestinians on his show. Whether it's for the views, the money, I don't care. It gives exposure to that view, which, there is some benefit to that.
Side doesn't mean
actually
you
does.
Don't. No, it doesn't, because then I'm not pro-Palestinian according to your logic.
No, of course you're pro-Palestinian.
All right. Am I pro-Trump? Am I pro-Trump?
If you're trying to,
I've got you on today.
If you're trying to categorise me,
very strange argument.
If you're trying to categorise me as pro-Israeli over Palestinian, I dispute that categorisation.
I'm sure you will dispute it, but I didn't actually ask about you. But we went down that road. The British and American media are biased in favour of Israel. I'm just wondering why you
can't answer for other media.
Do you think it's fear? Do you think it's racism? What do you think it is?
I don't know. Ask them.
I'm asking you.
How do I know?
You're not them. You are there.
I don't know what their motivation is. How would I know?
All right, let's talk about the other. You're so uncensored until you get to Israel.